On a warm October night, Sonya Massey, a resident of Springfield, Illinois, did what anyone might do when they feel afraid. She called 911, believing someone was outside her home. That call for help set into motion a series of events that tragically ended her life inside her own house. 2 Sangamon County Sheriff's deputies responded. They became central figures in a case that would grip the nation. One of those deputies, Sean Grayson, would ultimately stand trial, accused of her murder. After days of deliberation, a jury delivered a verdict that sent ripples through the community and the country. Guilty of second-degree murder. A decision that acknowledged a wrongful death, but stopped short of finding premeditated intent. The basic facts are a stark and painful reminder of how quickly a routine call can escalate into a life-or-death situation. Ms. Massey, a black woman, was at home when she sought protection. The night began. With a simple act of caution, Sonya Massey, alone in her home, heard noises that made her uneasy. She felt a sense of vulnerability, and she called 911. Her voice on the recording, later played in court, was that of a person seeking reassurance and safety from law enforcement. She reported a potential prowler, a common type of call that deputies handle regularly. There was nothing in her initial plea for assistance that suggested the situation would devolve into violence. She was a citizen in need, and the system was activated to respond with the promise of protection. 2 Sangamon County deputies, Sean Grayson, his partner, were dispatched to Ms. Massey's residence. Upon their arrival, they conducted a preliminary search of the property's exterior. According to their testimony and the body camera footage, they found nothing. No broken windows, no forced entry, no one hiding in the shadows. The immediate threat seemed to have dissipated or was perhaps never there. The deputies then proceeded to the front door to speak with the homeowner. The initial interaction at the doorstep was polite and routine. The deputies identified themselves. Ms. Massey opened the door to speak with them. They informed her their search turned up nothing suspicious. To provide further reassurance, the deputies asked if they could step into her home to have a brief conversation. Ms. Massey agreed, allowing them to cross the threshold into her personal space. At this point, the encounter was still a standard welfare check. Inside the home, the conversation continued. The deputies were there to close out the call to make sure the resident felt secure before they departed. These moments, captured on camera, show a scene that was initially calm. No shouting, no immediate aggression from either party. It was the kind of scene that plays out in countless communities every single day without incident. However, the dynamics within that small space were about to shift dramatically, turning a routine police call into a scene of confusion, fear, and ultimately, irreversible tragedy that would be analyzed frame by frame in a courtroom months later. Once inside the house, the atmosphere began to change. The deputies continued to speak with Ms. Massey. The tone shifted from reassurance to subtle tension. The body camera footage shows the small enclosed space of the living area. One deputy noticed a pot of water heating on the stove in the adjacent kitchen. That ordinary household item would become a focal point. The deputy, citing safety, asked Ms. Massey to move the pot of hot water. That simple request became pivotal. Ms. Massey's response was not what the deputies expected. Instead of complying, she picked up the pot. As she held it, she spoke words the deputies later described as alarming.
"I rebuke you in the name of Jesus."
For Ms. Massey, the words may have been faith or defiance. For the deputies, particularly Sean Grayson, those words plus holding a potentially boiling pot were seen as a threat. The moments that followed were fraught with confusion and rapidly increasing tension. The deputies began issuing commands, louder and more authoritative. They instructed Ms. Massey to put down the pot. Her hesitation, fear, confusion, or defiance was met with a more forceful response. The calm, conversational tone was gone, replaced by sharp, urgent commands. The deputies drew their service weapons, altering the power dynamic and raising the stakes. This critical juncture highlights the challenge of interpreting human behavior under stress. Prosecutors would say Ms. Massey was a frightened woman reacting unpredictably. The defense portrayed a volatile, dangerous situation. They argued Deputy Grayson perceived the pot as a weapon. It could cause serious harm, severe burns. It could cause serious harm, blindness. They argued non-compliance was a direct, immediate threat to officer safety. In that contested space of perception versus reality, the decision to use deadly force was made. In the few seconds that felt like an eternity, the standoff between Sonya Massey and the deputies reached its breaking point. With guns drawn, the officers continued to yell commands for her to drop the pot. The body camera footage from Deputy Grayson's partner shows the chaotic scene from a secondary angle. Ms. Massey remained standing, holding the pot, her expression a mixture that could be interpreted as fear, defiance, or confusion. It was in this charged environment that Deputy Sean Grayson made a split-second decision. He fired his weapon a single time. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the small home, a deafening finality. The bullet struck Ms. Massey in the head, and she collapsed to the floor instantly. The pot clattered beside her. The body camera video captured the immediate aftermath. The sudden, shocking silence that followed the gunshot, broken only by the deputy's heavy breathing and subsequent radio calls for medical assistance. The footage is raw and difficult to watch. It documents the precise moment a citizen who had called for help was killed by the very person sent to provide it. This digital recording would become the centerpiece of the investigation and the trial, offering an objective, if incomplete, record of what happened. Witness reactions, both from the other deputy on the scene and from those who later reviewed the footage, were critical. The second deputy, who did not fire his weapon, would later testify that he did not perceive Ms. Massey as a lethal threat at that moment. This testimony was a significant blow to the defense's claim that deadly force was the only option. In court, former colleagues and law enforcement officials who reviewed the video described their own shock. The state of Illinois took the rare step of charging Deputy Sean Grayson with first-degree murder. The trial was moved from Springfield to Peoria due to intense pre-trial publicity, to find an impartial jury. The prosecution argued Grayson acted unreasonably and failed to follow de-escalation training. The lead prosecutor walked the jury through body camera footage, saying the footage showed Grayson escalating the encounter with aggressive commands and a quick resort to deadly force. The prosecution portrayed Ms. Massey as frightened and possibly mentally distressed, not a violent assailant. They called expert witnesses who said a pot of hot water could be harmful, but was not a lethal threat, and did not justify a gunshot to the head. The prosecutor emphasized, Ms. Massey was alive before Grayson's actions and dead because of them, a failure of police procedure and judgment. The shooting of Sonya Massey and the subsequent trial of Sean Grayson sent shockwaves through central Illinois and beyond. Almost immediately after the incident became public, community members in Springfield began to organize. Protests and marches became a common sight. Transparency, accountability, justice for Ms. Massey. Chants of justice for Sonya echoed through the streets as citizens of all backgrounds expressed their outrage and grief. Many saw the shooting not as an isolated incident, particularly in the context of interactions between white police officers and black civilians. The public outcry had a tangible impact on local leadership. In the weeks following the shooting, the Sangamon County Sheriff resigned. He had overseen the department and hired Deputy Grayson. His departure was widely seen as a direct consequence of the loss of public trust and the intense pressure from the community. Local leaders announced the formation of the Massey Commission. This task force was charged with conducting a top-to-bottom review of the sheriff's office policies, use of force guidelines, de-escalation training, hiring practices. Following the conviction for second-degree murder, the legal process moved toward sentencing. Deputy Sean Grayson now faces a prison sentence ranging from 4 to 20 years, a decision that rests in the hands of the presiding judge. For the family of Sonya Massey, the verdict offered a partial sense of closure, though no prison term can undo their profound loss. In a statement released through their lawyers, they acknowledged the conviction as a measure of justice, but expressed their hope that the sentence would reflect the full gravity of taking a human life. Their fight, they said, was not over. It was shifting from the courtroom to a broader push for systemic reform. The family's attorneys have made it clear they will continue to advocate for sweeping changes in policing. Enhanced de-escalation training, stricter use of force policies, more robust psychological screening for police candidates. They want to ensure that a call for help never again results in a death sentence. The Massey Commission, born from the community's outcry, is expected to deliver its recommendations soon.